you're watching us in the United States, happy Thanksgiving for yesterday. It was President Abraham Lincoln who first officially declared the festival as being on the last Thursday in November, and President Franklin D. Roosevelt who set it in stone in 1939. Hello and welcome to Kaleidoscope with me, Savitri Rodrigo. Sri Lanka is a biodiversity hotspot having the highest rates of biological endemism, which means the country is surely every wildlife enthusiast, naturalist, environmentalist, explorers and curious travelers' dream. But going on a safari in these pandemic times is surely out of the question, or is it? Sri Lanka Tourism recently launched the Couch Safari, sharing the full magic of Sri Lanka's amazing fauna and flora. And that's what we are going to do today, go on a couch safari. We have a packed show for you today as always, and some exclusive interviews too with the Head of Marketing and Sales Residential of One Golf-Face, Neluka de Alvis, the Media Freedom Awards shortlisted nominee, Ranga Kalansurya, that's on our People's Bank News Capsule, Kavitha Amaratunga and Nuwan Pereira, who revealed their IO story on Singer Life in 60, and we spark off a conversation on plus-size positivity with CEO of XXL, Adisha Dahanayaka, on Selinko Life. Let's talk. So we're on with Kaleidoscope Snapshot. The Asian Development Bank has given $165 million to 10 Sri Lankan banks to help SMEs impacted by COVID-19, primarily for those women-led and tea small-holding businesses. October inflation dropped to 5.5%, down from 6.4% last month. News from Australia, Sri Lankan-born Anjali De Silva was recently elected to the Monash City Council, the only councillor of Sri Lankan origin to be elected in Victoria for the upcoming 4-year term. Tesla will open the world's largest battery cell factory near Berlin next year. The Gigafactory is the first in Europe. About 100 pilot whales and bottlenose dolphins died in a mass stranding this week in a remote island off New Zealand. Superstar Beyoncé dominates the Grammys with 9 nominations. A turning point for the Notre Dame Cathedral, the last portions of the scaffolding that melted during last year's blaze has been removed. A weird monolith about 12 feet tall was found embedded in the rock in Utah, and it's turned out to be an art installation. 10 Super Rugby teams from Australia and New Zealand are due to bring the thrills and spills of rugby in 25 crossover matches in a Trans-Tasman tournament starting in May 2021. And on with our People's Bank News Capsule. At the Sri Lanka Investment and Business Conclave last week, it was revealed that Sri Lankans purchased 65% of high-end luxury condominiums, while 27% were purchased by expatriates. Foreign purchasers accounted for only 8%. There is a sense of optimism among the high-end developers, and I caught up with Neluka de Alvis, Head of Sales and Marketing Residential of One Golf-Face, to find out what the real estate industry was really looking like, especially for the high-end, high-rise segment.
The sector was gaining momentum, and we saw certain interest and transactions was almost to take place, but unfortunately due to the country lockdown, the buyers' immediate reaction was, let's wait and see as to what's going to happen next. But if you look in terms of currently what's happening, the interest has again increased, and the buyer sentiments are looking great. I mean, looking in terms of the data, market research that we've done, even the high-end developers have been able to do a few transactions, predominantly from Sri Lankan expatriate community overseas. So which means it's looking good. Also the fact that if you look in terms from now till next year, which is everybody's question, 2021, Q2 2021 should be a better footing for the country as a whole, because I think again coming back, how people talk is the way the COVID was managed. So I think if you look in terms of the property sector, there will be the light at the end of the tunnel with a positive impact.
The Colombo stock market bounced back thanks to renewed buying after multiple sessions of uncertainty. By close of market on Thursday, the indices moved up by 1.1%, with the daily turnover averaging 1.8 billion rupees. Oil prices rose, riding high on hopes that vaccine optimism will boost fuel demand. And so, WTI oil prices rebounded to their highest levels since March of this year and went above $45 per barrel. Gold prices in the meanwhile remain steady this week at $1,815 per ounce. We are flooded with news of the pandemic, the impact it's having on economies, on industries, and on people. But have we ever thought of turning the lens the other way, finding out the impact of the pandemic on the reporters who are bringing you these stories? For the very first time, Canada and the UK presented a Media Freedom Award to drive international action on improving the safety of journalists around the world. There were 5 nominees from Belarus, Mexico, Lebanon, South Sudan, and Sri Lanka. And I asked Sri Lanka's shortlisted nominee Ranga Kalansurya, who is Asia's regional advisor for international media support, if our journalists are suitably equipped to cover the pandemic.
I don't think even to cover this pandemic, they are well trained. They know the subject. I don't think so, because it's all of a sudden it emerged and journalists are not ready to cover that. So they do mistakes. Even after 11 months, we have not learned from those mistakes. We are still doing the mistakes. We repeat the mistakes. Even the media stations or even the government is not taking action to capacitate the journalists to cover the COVID-19 pandemic. Justifiable salary for journalists, recognition, and most importantly, freedom to work in the newsroom. I'm not talking about the government here. I'm talking about the corporate influence, the politically motivated or economically motivated ownership that pressure the newsroom. So what we see today in the news bulletin is not the freedom of expression. This is what the owner wants us to hear or listen or watch. That's not safe enough for journalists.
A moat is being dug around a landfill in Ampara to keep out herds of hungry elephants. This is one of Sri Lanka's 3 largest landfills, and the elephants come looking for food scraps, but also consume plastic, which in turn slowly kills them. When this pianist plays Fiorelli's Greensleeves and Diary of Love, he is mobbed. They tug his hair, steal his music, and clamber all over his pianos. Paul Barton is truly a rock star for these hungry wild monkeys who are somewhat soothed by the velvety tones of his piano. Even Santa is taking this pandemic seriously. In Santa's little workshop in Hungary, chocolatier Laszlo Rimoxi decided to put marzipan masks on his chocolate Santas, while in Greece, a candle maker put blue surgical masks to cover Santa's white beard. We all need a bit of joy this year, and so Kaleidoscope decided to make December one of gift giving. Every program in December will have a prize draw open to our subscribers. There's lots of goodies waiting to be won, so subscribe and Santa may just be on your doorstep. The essence of Christmas is about giving, and this year specifically, when everything has gone topsy-turvy, we need to take matters into our own hands. So Kaleidoscope will be highlighting some projects that are going to make a difference to others this Christmas. Harpo's Cafes and Restaurants will be having its 15th annual charity event for the Community Concern Centre in Dehiwala. If you would like to help the 60 children and their families, please drop off children's clothes, used books or school items to any of Harpo's restaurants. That's the Bayleaf, Commons Coffee House and Harpo's Pizza, Nugegoda. Please drop off your clothes, books or school items by the 7th of December. So that's our People's Bank News Capsule this week. Coming up is Adisha Dahanayaka spotlighting plus-size positivity on Selingco Life. Let's talk.
With Selingco Life Pension Saver, Sri Lanka's premier retirement plan, start planning for your retirement today. Selingco Life, a relationship for life.
It is a known fact that discrimination exists routinely everywhere. Age, sex, race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, religious belief, disability, and size. It may be legal in some cases, but it yet exists. And employers might find it perfectly acceptable to refuse hiring larger people. Sociology professor Abigail Sagwe, in her book What's Wrong with Fat, wrote, "You need to judge the individual person and not assume because people are large that they can't do certain physical things. Some large people are very fit. There are people who fall in the obese category but still run marathons." That's what Adisha Dahanayaka did. She didn't run marathons, but she pushed her limits at the gym. She is a national powerlifter and decided to break the stigma for larger people by pioneering the country's first plus-size store, XXL, pushing the boundaries of glamorous fashion to bringing positivity onto the plus-size ramp. Here she is on Selingco Live. Let's talk. So have you had moments of fat shaming? How have you tackled them?
Society should not judge a person according to their body type, size or color. So that's my point of view, because there are a lot of positive things that we can focus as a society, because in society the weight debate has its foundation built on a wrong ground. Because as I believe, more than looks, I think it should be how healthy you are. Because body shaming of any body type saps your confidence and make question your self-worth. This can be mentally taxing in the long run, because body shaming can cause depression and social anxiety.
What about the health angle for a larger person? How can that be balanced?
So my advice to anyone who you're talking about would be don't let this tiny minute detail to be hindrance in your life. Just get on with your life, because you are always enough. So if you are too curvy, you will point it out. Too skinny, too tall, too short or too dark, you will be pointed out. So what exactly is accepted body type? So don't worry about what other people think about your size or body type or skin color. So because in society most of the people, they have very tunnel vision about life, but life is more than that.
Adisha, do you think society perceives larger people differently now, or are they still being fat shamed?
So that's why we came up with plus size clothing as a brand called XXL in 2010. I think that's why I really believe, Savitri, like everything happens for a reason, everything happens for good reasons. So even though I had to face all these like fat shaming moments, but we knew that there's a gap in the market, and then we came up with a solution.
What is the advice you would give to a larger person who is trying to integrate into society?
So many people think like plus size body can't be active. But I work out almost 6 days a week, and I'm a national powerlifter. So it's more important to be active, healthy mentally and physically than losing weight. So well, in my situation, I learned to love who I was at my heaviest, and that was like 92 kgs, and I just wanted to feel better. So I never pushed myself too hard. I think it's all inside work, because I don't think extremes in any case are good. It's not healthy mentally and physically. So in my view, eating and exercise can have an impact on how you look, but so can genetic and history with food. So if you move regularly and you train your body will be healthier. I think it's all about how you balance.
The question isn't who is going to let me, but rather who is going to stop me. Thank you, Adisha, for bringing that angle of positivity to Selingco Life. Let's talk today.
With Selingco Life Pension Saver, Sri Lanka's premier retirement plan, start planning for a retirement today. Selingco Life, a relationship for life.
Next up on Singer Life in 60, it's the I Your story. We've all seen this t-shirt. It captures creativity and humor, the trademark of Shop Cuban, the brainchild of Kavitha Amarathunga and Nuwan Pereira, who combined their background in psychology and sales and marketing to create some really fun Sri Lankanisms on a host of lifestyle products. Here they are on Singer Life in 60.
Shop Cuban was established in 2018, and the concept behind Shop Cuban is to celebrate the Sri Lankan culture. So basically, Shop Cuban is for Sri Lankans by Sri Lankans.
So we started off with just t-shirts, but currently our line expands to a whole bunch of t-shirts, caps, tote bags, mugs and other accessories. So the idea behind each of those pieces is to tell a story about our culture. So we have our Ayo and Ane t-shirts, which are some of our best hits, to t-shirts about Kottu, Kochi, Kiribat, and tote bags about Mallipol, all types of things. And the idea is to be a bit humorous and funny and to create a sense of community and identity around being Sri Lankan.
And next time you buy a Shop Cuban t-shirt, mug, mask, tote or cap, some of these sales proceeds are going to a good cause, education and sustainable development. That's the look good, feel good factor. Thank you Kavita Amaratunga and Nuan Pereira for joining us on Singer Life in 60. So do tell us what you would like us to discuss on the program, what you feel about the program. Write to us on kaleidoscopeweekly1@gmail.com or comment on our YouTube link. And if you would like to see our past Let's Talk, Life in 60 and News Capsule clips, they're all on our playlists on our YouTube channel. And do click on that subscribe button on that channel, Kaleidoscope with Savitri Rodrigo, and press the bell icon to remain updated. We must continue to be careful, not just for ourselves but for others too. So you must wear your mask, wash your hands and remain at home as much as you can. It's about everybody else's safety too. Now, here's your Kaleidoscope takeaway. The comeback is always stronger than the setback.